Friends, this week is dedicated to all my traditionalists out there who love terracotta, round plantings, boxwoods, all of the things. We're coming in hot. For this week's selection, we have with us a gorgeous Crescent Garden container, 22 inches of round gloriousness, terracotta finish, self-watering, obviously because I can't be bothered, and 22 inches high. Now, Crescent Garden would love to see these pots in your home, so they have given me a 15% off discount code. It's in the description below. Are you ready? For this week, I want to bring in what is becoming a new staple for me. How cute is this guy? I'm sure we are all familiar with the Arborvitae. Now, we have seen this at Costco. We have seen this across the board. You may have even seen this behind me, but the difference with this particular specimen is it is a compact globe-shaped arb. And what was really funny is I was actually at Swanson's picking this little cutie up, and the guy there was like, yeah, I brought these in, but I can't sell them to save my life. And I was like, are you showcasing them properly? Because this thing is adorable. Now this one is an Isley. It's called Hetz Midget Arborvitae. However, there's Tom Thumb. There is, First Editions came out with a Mother Earth Arborvitae. This thing is so stinking adorable, and what I love about it is it gives us like a very northwesty boxwood alternative. So if you are suffering from blight or spider mite damage all throughout your box, this cute little globe is actually a really, really good direction for you to head. So we are gonna start, in fact, I'm just even gonna throw it in because I know exactly what I'm doing with this guy. Woo! Please hold. Gotta yank out this pot. Goodness. Pause for intermission. All right, let's see if I got it. Oh, yeah, baby. The old stomp trick. Friends, shall we do some stats on this player in the game? Okay, growth habit, globe shape. Although it is identifying here that if you just let it age and don't prune it, it may form a teardrop, but just keep it pruned. Love that. Growth rate, 2 to 4 inches per year. Garden size, 3 feet high, 3 feet wide. Okay, y'all. Cold hardiness down to -40 to -30 degrees Fahrenheit. Where does it get that cold? Please inform me. If it gets that cold wherever you are, is that North Dakota? Do you guys know that? Brad's a North Dakota boy. Oh my gosh. Okay, North Dakota. Coming in hot. A cute little Arborvitae. Also, my Canadian friends, hello, another great one for you. Okay, wow, -40, really? Seriously, have you had that? Did your eyeballs freeze? Everything. I've been informed at -40, everything hurts. And this is why I live in Seattle. Okay, and full sun. However, Arborvitaes, I feel like they can do part sun. All right, we're just gonna get this guy in. I love this. This is such a sweet one. I actually have had a little Globe Arborvitae in one of just my favorite clients. I planted sweet little patio pots for them. And I'm replicating this for you. Now, one of the things I was thinking about yesterday as I was planning for this container is I haven't shown a lot of Ring Around the Rosie containers. What's that? Who sings "You Spin Me Right Round, Baby, Right Round, like a record player"? My inner 80s child is showing. Who sings that? If you grew up in the 80s and you remember the Dead or Alive song, "You Spin Me Right Round, Baby." You spin me right round. That's what I hum in my head every time I plant one of these containers. But all that to say, at one of my favorite clients' houses, we did these sweet little Globe Arborvitae arrangements, and every time I do them, they fill me with so much joy. So I'm bringing it here for you. And the key to doing a globe is a couple of things. Now, I feel like you see a lot online of people get their sweet little globe, and then they do just kind of what I like to refer to as Ring Around the Rosie. Maybe they'll do a singular arrangement. Maybe they will mix in some cute little bicolor along with a straight color. I feel like this is really common and we see this a lot. And there's also nothing wrong with this because sometimes having something that's a bit more quiet is lovely. However, I want to show you guys essentially my container geometry in action. And whenever I do a container like this, I'm always looking at the shapes that I'm creating. And so for this one, we obviously have this beautiful container. We have a beautiful circle globe topper. And what we're gonna do in terms of planting is we're gonna work in triangles all the way around, and that's what's gonna build our depth and dimension. Okay, bonus, and I think I'm gonna play with this in a future video. This is actually gonna end up being the first container of 2026 when it gets changed out. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, I could tuck bulbs in here, but they wouldn't be blooming until then. So in any event, stay tuned. I'm gonna show you how I layer a proper lasagna garden container because I think we are ready for some little advanced learning in that category. All right, so for our players today, for our little triangle specimens, I have this adorable grass that I'm gonna place kind of at thirds here. And what's great about a container like this is you wanna take people on a journey around your container. Oh, and the other thing is off the back of each one of these Crescent Garden containers is my little opening to fill the self-watering reservoir. And so when you use a little Carex grass like this, let me spin you around for a second. You get to use your sweet little Carex grass and it kind of covers your fill hole, yet you just kind of like part the bangs and it's really easy to get in there and fill it up with water. Now, before we get too far, there's a really simple formula when you do a little right round baby container like this. I personally love a globe in the middle. You can do a columnar piece in the middle, but I find it starts to look real weird. You have to really work on your volume in your midsection if you choose something that is like rectangular, say like an upright columnar boxwood. I have done them with inverted V shapes. I've also done them with shrubs. That can look really cute, but with a shrub, you tend to lose your play space. When you're developing your kind of trio of plants that are gonna go around, I generally gravitate towards three things. I want a strappy texture, I want a rounded leaf, and I want a floral. If I have extra space, I might do a trailer, but I find that I almost don't feel like I need a trailer when I do this little right round container. Because I think there's something so beautiful about seeing this upright shape and having it feel like it doesn't necessarily have a face to the container. So we obviously have our strappy foliage here. This is the Carex Feather Falls. I love it. I use it endlessly. And the next thing I'm gonna bring in, you guys, boom. We're gonna go cabbage because I feel like if we're gonna go traditionalist here, let's bring in a cabbage. Let's bring in something quintessential fall and winter. And for me, it's the cabbage. So I grabbed 3 of them. At first I was like, oh my gosh, is this too much? It's not. Remember, I'm in my maximalist era. So I've got these 3 sweet little birdsong cabbages here. Now, we're looking really, really full. And this is where I want to have us change it up just a little bit so it doesn't feel so samey like the ring around the Rosie with all the pansies. So I've brought in 2 different things, a pansy as well as a viola. And I love that those 2 play with each other. And so I've brought in the most adorable little bicolor viola. And it's bringing a hint of the purple from the center of my cabbage into the floral moments. The other thing is I kind of went back and forth. I thought, gosh, maybe I do a bright, strong yellow, but for me, I think I want this softer yellow. This is a lemon. Sometimes they call it a primrose yellow, but it has a bit of strength at the throat, which pulls in here, and then it fades to a little bit more of a softer tone, which I thought made it play with the terracotta a wee bit better. So I'm going to continue my pattern all the way around, doing a viola on the left and a pansy on the right. And then if I have space, which sometimes I do, I have this gorgeous selaginella Aurea. This to me is such a highlighter. If you find that your color palette is looking too murky or too monotone, you hit it with a little bit of this and it's just perfection. And sometimes what I'll do here, and I actually may end up doing this in my container, is I might actually put it right below my pansy here, but I'm gonna full on rip this in half. Okay, should we plant a container? So part of this channel is I always want to make sure I'm giving you guys like max value, right? And I also want to take this opportunity to show you guys these little movements that take you from like a real cute arrangement to something that's elevated and next level. Because I think design should be accessible for everyone. Okay, so I was thinking as I was doing this, I didn't even talk about my placement, but essentially, do you see how I put my grasses and my cabbages forward? I actually did a couple things here. I wanted this grass to act as my spiller, so it's doing double duty as texture and spiller. Next, my cabbage, if you look at like a side shot of this, the pot is like this. So I put it almost where I'm having to put like a light layer of soil over the top. And that's because in wet climates like ours, this center will rot out if you plant it upright. Also, this little rosette, that is so much more dynamic when you see it at an angle. Okay, next. I didn't put my pansies and my violas front of the rim. And I see this a lot too. People will do a very traditional arrangement and go all the way around, but it's like little toy soldiers in a row and it looks like a bullseye. We want to move away from the bullseye to create a little bit more movement within the container. So check it out. Front, back, front, back, front, back. I'm zigzagging my way all the way around. So if you take a look here, do you see how this viola is actually planted in back of my cabbage and my grass? Things like this, they just give a little bit more movement and interest to a container. It also allowed me to work in a little half a piece of moss down here. And that brightness, it does a lot of things. First of all, it's great contrast against this more blue-green. It's great contrast against a straight green. And it also ties in my little stripe here of my Carex feather fall. Some of you may be thinking, hey, Kate, a pansy and a viola stay really small. I actually find, and I'm curious if you've found that as well, that when I constrain a pansy or a viola and I put it almost behind something, I find that that plant naturally stretches towards the sun. I also went to Brenna Estrada's talk on pansies, and of course I have her book as well, and she was finding the same thing, that pansies and violas, they naturally want to stretch almost as if they have a trailing habit, which I'm just like mind blown over that. So all that to say, here is our little cutie, and I just think This is so much more interesting and dynamic than a straight collar. And this is gonna give you so much seasonal interest. And this little guy is gonna take us all the way through the end of 2025. Friends, are we ready to take a look at week 7? This is a good one. Friends, if you remember the container I designed around my new walking/running shoes, this is it. And it is so pretty and it is so fall. It is so fall. There are a few things that are just, they're killing me in all the best ways about this container. Okay, number 1, I don't know if you can see this, but as my sea oats are aging, there's actually pink that is coming out in the center of each oat. And I'm freaking out. It's like better than I could have planned for, which I just think is the best. By the way, I'm constantly, like whenever I'm in front of a container, I'm like grooming it. It's a compulsion at this point. Next thing, can I show you something right here? Can we look at this cute little pansy up at the top? You guys, this is ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. And this is one of those things that I love about pansies and violas. Do you remember I was just saying how like I plant them in deep and they just find their way up? This sucker is 10 inches tall, at least 10 inches tall. And I just think it is so darn magical. You know, it's so funny. Look at this. The black is doing the same thing over here. Is that so cute? And I love this deep, dark contrast going on here. This is sensational. Now, the other thing, I used an unnamed heather and it didn't have a bloom on it. And I am loving the fact that it didn't have a bloom because sometimes you'll use a heather and it gets all scraggly after the blooms have faded. Well, this one is just pure texture for days. All right, friends, not bad for our halfway point. And I actually secretly can't wait for this entire cluster of sea oats to age because I just think there is something about an aged out seed head in wintertime. It's perfection. Friends, thank you for coming along on another little garden adventure. And by the way, if you need one of these cute little round, cute as a button, Arborvitae, Swanson's had a ton of them. And the sucker was like 20 bucks. 20 bucks for something this hardy? Excellent deal in my opinion. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, say hello to your garden for me.